Hi there, and welcome to Faith in 5, where we believe you can build your faith in just 5 minutes. I'm your host, Reggie Wilson, and I'm back with another exciting episode. Today, we're going to talk about failures and the results of their failures and how we can grow from it. Okay, so we're going to talk about failures, right? It's Friday and we're going to talk about failures. Can you believe it? Going right into the weekend. But there's a purpose behind it. I want to talk about Peter today. If you want, go to Acts 5, starting in verse 15 through 16. That's Acts 5, chapter 5, starting in verse 15. And we're going to read from 15 through 16. Let me give you a little backdrop of the story. Now, Peter, one of the 12 disciples, the people that inner circle that Jesus trained, as we know, before this time, the book of Acts, we're going to pick up after Jesus, died and resurrected. Beforehand, Peter was Jesus's right hand. He was with him everywhere. Jesus would constantly teach Peter and help him and encourage him. But Peter had an opportunity. Peter said, Jesus, I'll be with you wherever you go. If your life is on the line, guess what, Jesus? I'm willing to die with you. And as we all know, Peter denied Jesus 3 times. When Jesus needed Peter the most, he abandoned him. It said when the rooster crowed, Jesus looked back at Peter. And Peter ran away weeping and crying because just as Jesus said that you will deny me 3 times, Peter actually did it. And Peter was discouraged for a while. But then Jesus goes back and reinstates Peter. And he talks to him and says, Peter, feed my sheep. 3 times, Peter, feed my sheep. Feed my sheep. Peter goes around, he's reinstated, reinvigorated, repents, and he turns the world upside down for Jesus. And this picks up. You see, beforehand, Peter knew Jesus. He understood Jesus was coming from, but he wasn't totally convicted. It wasn't until after he was. He totally believed with everything in him. And we're going to pick up in Acts 5, starting in verse 15. It says, as a result, people brought the sick into the streets and laid them on beds and mats so that at least Peter's shadow might fall on some of them as he passed by. Crowds gathered also from the towns around Jerusalem, bringing their sick and those tormented by impure spirits, and all of them were healed. Wow. So here it is Peter, the same Peter who denied Jesus 3 times. He's reinstated and he's setting the world ablaze for Jesus. You see, it said people came to Peter, not even for him to touch hands on people, just so his shadow could go over him. And these folks were healed. The power of Jesus was in Peter. And why? Because at this point, Peter believed without a shadow of a doubt, without hesitation, without any kind of lack of disbelief, that he was sent by Jesus. Not only that he was the man to do the Lord's work. You see, we're all faced with doubt. We all fall short. But how do we come back for it? You see, when Peter made that mistake, when Peter denied Jesus, Jesus came back. He had a heart-to-heart talk with him. And that heart-to-heart talk inspired him so he can go out and do amazing things. And as we see, we know, and we still talk about what Peter has done because of his love for Jesus. My question for you and myself, who do we have in our lives giving us that heart-to-heart talk or talking us to reconnect us to Jesus so we can set the world ablaze for him? And it's not just through sharing your faith in anything, in your jobs, in your career, in that dream that God gave you that you haven't attained yet or you're afraid of. Who do you turn to that could help inspire you back to Jesus? Or have you prayed to be inspired back to Jesus to do amazing things? Look, Peter did it. A regular, ordinary, unschooled man did even more than what Jesus did. In fact, a shadow was healing people, his own shadow. My question is, what could you do for Jesus? What can you do right now that would not only inspire others, but that would set the world ablaze? Remember, your greatest failure will lead to your greatest victory if you decide to go to Jesus, connect with the pain as Peter did, and come out and do some amazing things. Thank you guys. Thank you for joining me for Faith in 5. If you like what you heard, please like and subscribe, and see you next time on Faith in 5.